There are many retirement planning mistakes that people make, and one of them is not taking their Social Security benefits at the right time. Some believe they should take at 62 when they're first eligible. Others wait to full retirement age. Others wait until age 70. Now, the truth is, if we knew when we were going to die, we would all know exactly when we should take. But we are forced to make this very important retirement income decision without that piece of information. And yet, longevity of life is really the most important factor in determining how much we're going to get out of our Social Security benefits. In this video, I'll explain why. All right, let's get started. So as we're talking about lifetime benefits of Social Security, it all has really to do with the life expectancy. And so clearly, the longer we live, the more we are going to get. And so what I want to look at first is some of the current stats now about life expectancy for the average person. Now, if you have some kind of a health issue or something going on, that certainly may not apply to you. But if you don't, these numbers, I think, could at least give you some kind of indication as to what's going on right now in the U.S. So what is your life expectancy? We don't know for sure, but we do know averages. So let's talk first about women that actually make it to age 65. Their life expectancy is 87 years old, which means what? That's the average. So some will certainly pass away before then. Others, other 50% are going to go beyond 87 years old. Now, what's interesting to me is this stat here. If you make it to 65, there's a 34% chance, so just a little over 1 out of every 3 ladies is expected to live to 90 and beyond, which is, of course, a lot of time. And so that's for ladies. Let's talk about men now. Men, a little bit lower, not greatly lower, but certainly some lower. So if a man that makes it to 65, life expectancy is 84, so half are going to do that and half will not. And so as far as men are concerned, men do not have a likelihood of, like the ladies do when it comes to being 90 beyond. It's actually about a 16% chance. All right, so again, you're going to have to come to a place where you're comfortable with what your life expectancy may be. Now, what we tell people to do is look at family history. How long did mom or dad live? Did mom and dad live to be well into the 80s or 90s or beyond? Then there's a high likelihood that you may follow in their steps in that regard. Okay, so we always begin asking this question, life expectancy. All right, now secondly, let's look at the lifetime benefits, which means once you turn on your Social Security check, how much you're going to get, and then how long you live. And we're going to look at that lifetime benefit amount. In fact, I think you'll find this graph to be very interesting. And keep with me too, because after this, as we look at the actual dollar numbers, there's some additional considerations that are very, very important for you to note that I'll teach you about. There's actually 3 of them you need to understand after we look at the actual dollar amount. So first off, let me give you this scenario that we're looking at here first. We're talking about a benefit at full retirement age. Now, here's the way it works. Anyone born before between the years of 1943 and 1954 have a full retirement age of 66 even. That's 1943 to 1954. After 1954, what the government started doing was adding 2 months to everyone's full retirement age. So someone born in 1955 has a full retirement age of 66 plus 2 months. 1956, they added 4 months. 1957, 6 months. 1958, they had 8 months. 1959, it would be 66 plus 10 months. And then once we hit 1960, birth dates and beyond, right now, the full retirement age, what's also called the normal retirement age, is 67. So that's what I'm going to use for the sake of example here in this particular video. Okay, now, right now, it's kind of expected that the person that is going to have a full retirement age at 67, average check now, is going to be right at $2,000 a month. Now, certainly there's some that are going to be higher. In fact, I just shot a video recently. We see some people that have very low Social Security checks right now. I mean, literally as low as $50. And there's some that are pushing $5,000 now. That would be those that were considered to be lifetime high income earners versus lifetime low earners. Okay, so a big variation. So I have no idea what your amount's going to be, but I just want to use kind of an average now for the sake of teaching in this video. So again, for retirement age 67, we're saying we're going to benefit of $2,000 a month if we go to 67. Now, we're eligible to start our Social Security benefits as early as 62. But if I'm 67 and full retirement age now at 62, I'm actually taking that benefit a full 5 years early, okay? And so it's a reduction in our full retirement age benefit of 6% per year. And so if I take 5 years earlier, that'd be 5 times 6 would be 30%. So I'm actually going to lose 30% of that particular amount if I were to take at 62 first eligibility. And a lot of people do that. And so this benefit then is going to be reduced by 30%. So we're actually going to get $1,400 a month at age 62. And of course, we're going to get checks longer, but it's just going to be less. Now, the other option we have is to not even take it full retirement age. We actually can grow the account. We grow the account to age 70. And so in this scenario, with a full retirement age of 67, I can grow this amount a full 24%. Okay, that's 8% a year is the way they increase that. Now, if someone had an earlier retirement age of straight 66, which was the case between 1943 and 1954, they actually could have grown their amount a full 32%. But if we have someone at 67, they can't do that because beyond 70, it doesn't grow. So here's my point. If it grew 24%, that means that now at age 70, I have a $2,640 check on a monthly basis, but again, I've delayed, until age 70, so a long time. But what I'm going to teach you now is this. Obviously, none of us know when we're going to pass away. But in this scenario, if we were to take at full retirement age or 62 or 70, and we pass away at these different ages, what kind of a lifetime benefit are we going to receive? And I'm teaching this to you because this is really how you need to be thinking. Though we don't know exactly when we're going to pass away, we still need to bring that in the equation because it can have a really drastic bearing as to when we decide to take our benefits. All right, so let's look first off at someone that is decided to take their Social Security early as they could. This would be at age 62. They took a full 30% penalty. And notice they die or pass away at age 70, which means what? They got benefits for a full 8 years. And so that's how much money would have been deposited into their account. Now, I know that there's going to be cost of living adjustments, but that's going to be the same for all of these different brackets. Okay, so we know it'd be more. But if we just take the straight $1,400 a month, and we got that for that 8-year period of time before we died, we'd have made $134,400 from our Social Security benefit. All right, now, if I took it my full retirement age at 67, but I died within just 3 years, that's all I would have had deposited in my Social Security benefit. Now, if I delayed to 70 and happened to die the same year, clearly I didn't make any money at all. All right, so that's passing away at age 70. Let's talk about now someone who lives 10 more years. And so this is someone that, again, took at age 62, so they took early. So now they've been taking their benefits for 18 years. And they've actually had deposited in their account $302,400, of course, plus cost of living adjustments as well. So they had a full 18 years. This is someone that waited full retirement age, so they wouldn't have to take the reduction. So they lived to age 80. So this means that they're drawing benefits for 13 years. And notice they would have got just a little bit more than what they would have had they taken early. And again, this is true cash flow. So that would have been a little bit better. Now they would have had to wait several years before that cash flow started coming in, but it's going to be a little bit on the higher side than that. And then if someone waited to age 70 and they only lived 10 years, notice they still made more money than these two people here that decided either take full retirement age or 5 years earlier. All right. Okay, so here's the whole point. That's passing away at age 80. Now, let's talk about passing away at age 90. Now, let's pause for a second. Remember we said earlier, a lady that makes it 65 is likely to live to 87. And a man's likely to be 84. And so again, that's beyond this right here. So these numbers would even, as a percentage basis, are going to grow more. Okay? Now, make it a 90, and we said a lady has about a 34% chance to do that, a man about 16% chance. So you have to decide if you're willing to kind of roll the dice on this one, because we don't know. But notice, if we took early, and now we take it 90, and so what's happened? Now we've received these benefits for a full 28 years, and in our account came $470,400. Now, if I waited full retirement age, I waited to grow that account, that amount to extra $600. Again, I'm not going to get them as long, but now I've drawn those benefits now for 23 years. And notice, made a little over, what is that, $82,000 extra during that period of time. That's substantial money. Now, for someone who waits to 70 and they live to 90 or beyond, look what happens here. $633,600. And that's why I was saying to you that you really need to look at this whole life expectancy issue. This is substantial, folks. we're talking, what, $163,000 more over that period of time. All right. And so again, we have to decide exactly when we want to take, but we certainly need to take into consideration these aspects of this to make sure you're making the very best decision for yourself. All right. Now I want to show you some special considerations around this decision. Hey, if you found this video helpful and you want to see more Medicare information just like it, then go below, right below the video, and you can give us the thumbs up as well as subscribe to our channel. And every time I put a new video, which is about 2 every week, you'll be notified of that video, and others just like you who need this vital information will get it as well. All right, let's look at these 3 considerations, but I want to give you an example. I am shooting this video, by the way, today is June the 20th, 2024. So let's assume, for the sake of example, that someone is turning 64 today. That means their birthday was 6/20 of 1960. Anyone born, remember 1960 after, has a full retirement age of 67. And so what we said earlier, if someone has a full retirement age of 67 and they wait till 67, they're going to get a benefit of $2,000 on a monthly basis. If they take early, that was going to be $1,400. If they put off to age 70, it was going to be $2,640 a month. All right, so those were the numbers that we're using. Okay, so that being said, with our example, let's talk about other considerations when deciding when to take your Social Security benefits. The first one is what we call the earnings test. And what this simply means is if someone decides that they are going to take their Social Security benefit and continue to work, what happens is they have this earnings test, which means that if they have not yet reached their full retirement age during that period of time while they're working, taking Social Security, yet not their full retirement age, now their earnings, their wages are going to be tested. They're going to test them, and if we are making above the certain threshold, then that's going to have an impact upon our Social Security check. And so there is an earnings test once we hit full retirement age, but prior to that, we will always be subject to that. Now, as we talk about earnings, I want to make sure we're really clear. We're only talking about working wages of the person filing for Social Security. It has nothing to do with family income, spouse, nothing. It's only your working wages. That would be, hourly wages, salary, commissions, those kinds of things are what is counted, in other words, from work. They are not going to test or count investment income, distributions from 401ks, IRAs, no pension income, no rental income, those kinds of things. They're not going to test, just working wages. All right, so as we talk about this, so what we have with the earnings test is this. We have what we call a low number, and we have a high number. And let me explain what I mean by that. So what happens is I am subject to a very low amount of money that I can make without a penalty for several years. In this example, we said this person was born 6/20/1960. They could have started taking Social Security over here at age 62, which meant what? They would have started 6/1 of 2022. They could have started taking their benefits. Again, it would have been $1,400. All right? And so what happens from 6/1 of 2022 all the way, now watch this, they hit their full retirement age at 67, so that means their full retirement age over here would have been 6/1 of 2027, right? This is at 67. They could have taken earlier, 5 years earlier, 5 years, but they also could delay. So that means they wait to age 70, then they would be over here and they would be at 6/1 of 2030. And so we are subject to the low earnings test amount all the way from when we first start taking up until the December of the year before we turn full retirement age. We're not there yet, but it's the year right before we turn. So in this example, they could have taken as early as 62, which would have been 6/1/2020. The year they're going to turn full retirement age is 2030. So this goes all the way through December 31 of 2029. Okay, we are subject to the low earnings test amount. This year, that amount is $22,320. $22,320, and that's for the whole year. That's all I can make, and that's all this person can make all the way during that particular period of time. Limited, very much. So for every $2 that they make above that amount, they reduce their Social Security benefit by $1. And let's keep it simple. Let's just say they're above this by, let's just say $8,000. So they made $30,320. They were above $8,000. The penalty then would be $4,000. And so what will happen is that $4,000 will be withheld in full, though with whole Social Security checks, until that money is set aside. And so they're going to hold $4,000, which means it's front loaded. And so that's why you'll have people say, well, I don't get my first Social Security check until March or May. And so why? Because again, they're above those earnings test limits. So every two, they take $1 away. And so my whole point to you is this, that's a very, very low limit. So as long as we stay below that limit, it's not going to have any impact at all upon our Social Security benefit. We go above it, again, they're going to withhold that amount. So that's the low amount. Now let's talk about the high amount. Now in this example, the high amount would begin, notice the year we're turning 2030, it'd be 1/1/2030. Now watch this, all the way until I hit my month. So that would be all the way through 5/31/2030. Okay, I'm not yet full retirement age yet during those first 5 months. Now I can make more money. Now the high amount is presently $56,520 a year. And they don't prorate this. They're saying you can make that during this period of time. You could make that in those 5 months and you still won't be penalized. But that's the most you can make in the whole year. Again, they don't prorate it. And then for every $3 above that, they actually take $1 out of my Social Security benefit or withhold that. Okay, and so what's going to happen here though, once I hit my full retirement age, in this example, 6/1/2030, what happens is these earnings test numbers go away. Now I can make Social Security benefits. I can have as much income as I want from my wages, and there's no impact at all upon my Social Security check. Okay? And so we have to consider when we're going to take based upon, do we still plan to work? How much money are we going to make? That's got to come in the equation along with life expectancy. Hey, if you're finding this video to be helpful and you would like to learn more about Medicare, you'll notice up here in the right-hand corner, there's an eye. And if you'll click on that eye, it's going to take you to a 20-minute workshop. I see people make mistakes all the time, and we don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we're giving you free access to this workshop. So go ahead, click the link, and learn more about Medicare. All right, that brings us into the second consideration that I want to draw your attention to, and that has to do with spousal benefits. Now let's go back and put the numbers on the board. We sit at 67. We're going to get $2,000. At 62, the earliest we could take, we're going to get $1,400. And then at 70, we are going to get $2,640 for a monthly benefit. All right, so when it comes to spousal benefits, this means that this is a spouse is drawing off of your benefit. And that amount is actually going to be 50% of whatever you are eligible for at your full retirement age. Okay? And so even if you were to take your benefits early, it doesn't matter. Your spouse, as they calculate their spousal benefits, is always 50% of what your full retirement age is. And so if this is a spouse that may not have a lot coming, they would be eligible for, in this example, $1,000 spousal benefit. Now, keep this in mind. In order for them to get this full 50%, they have to take at their own full retirement age. And so that simply means if they're around the same age as you in this example, once they hit 67, they can draw that full $1,000, 50% of your full retirement age amount. Remember, even if you took early, it doesn't matter, they're looking at full retirement age. But if they take prior to their full retirement age, now their benefit is also going to be reduced. All right? And it's a little bit heftier than just the normal retirement benefit. In fact, it's right at this year, it's 9.375 for 1 year, 9.375 for the second year, 9.375 for the third year. And by the way, the math on this is 25-30 seconds penalty. And then if you take 4 years early, it's only 5%. And then the fifth year, it's 5%. Okay? So you can see it's a substantially higher penalty if that spouse takes early. First 3 years, really pretty heavily loaded. The last two, not quite as bad. But as you can see here, 9, 18, 27, 28, it's about a 38% discount if your spouse were to take your benefit at their own earliest possible retirement age, which would be 62. So there's a hefty penalty. But again, some people may choose to do that. But if they go ahead and wait to their own 67, they would get that full $1,000. All right, and so that's what we mean by the spousal benefits, always locked in at 50%. One rule about this, in order for someone today to take a spousal benefit off their spouse, then the spouse that they're drawing from also has to be taking Social Security. Otherwise, spousal benefit is not even a possibility. So you would have had to actually be taking this for your spouse to be able to get that $1,000. All right, that brings us to the last and really very important consideration, and that has to do with survivor benefits. Now, survivor benefits is this. It is actually 100% of whatever that spouse was actually getting at death. Whatever they were eligible for, that surviving spouse can get that. Now, remember I said spousal can actually start anywhere from 62, and there would, of course, be a penalty. Survivor benefits, actually, a widow or widower can actually start as early as 60. But again, they're going to take a reduction in the benefit. And so now it is not more of a penalty like spousal was. It's actually the same thing as just normal retirement benefits. They can take as early as 60, but for how many years they're taking early before their own full retirement age, they're going to lose 6%. And so if their full retirement age was 67 and they took early as early as they could at age 60, what happens then? They're going to lose that 7 years, so that would be a full 42% of that benefit. But again, it is going to be 100% of the benefit. But if they wait to their own full retirement age, whatever that spouse was getting at the time of death, then that's exactly what they would get. Now, one thing I want to clarify here, and this is something I'm probably going to use personally in my strategy, my wife has very little Social Security coming. And so my plan is to go ahead and wait to age 70 and max that out. And so in other words, if my benefit was $2,640, I may not live long enough to see that benefited me, but my wife may live much longer. And so because the survivor benefit is 100%, if I go ahead and grow that to age 70, then I really have helped her out. May not have got more on my own, depending upon my life expectancy, but for her, it could be substantially more money. Okay, and so that's my plan, to actually wait until age 70 to grow that as much as I can, because again, even if I can't benefit, because she's going to get 100% of my amount plus cost of living adjustments, it could really help her. All right, so bottom line is this: please, as you make this decision, consider life expectancy before you just simply look at, hey, I can get my money now. I wouldn't do it that way. I would really think this through and decide when you think, and I know you don't know, but when you think you may pass away, and bring that into the financial equation as well. Thanks so much.